The news of late for the entertainment industry has been absolutely trash of late. I didn't come out with a video yesterday because there was quite literally nothing to talk about. And today is kind of the same thing. So what I wanted to actually do was talk about Alien Romulus. It's given us a very interesting kind of microcosm that I wasn't expecting. And, you know, with franchises, weird things happen and people's receptions to them. And I just wanted to talk about it for just a couple minutes because I thought it was really wild. And there's a lot of really deep, interesting discussions happening within Criticless specifically about what it means to be a part of this franchise and at what point are you holding on too dearly to what used to be. So I just kind of want to talk about franchises and Alien in specific. So let's go ahead and just do this. So Alien Romulus, I've seen it. I absolutely loved it. If you take a look, you can see my personal score, which was a 93. Now, I know that that is quite high because I really freaking liked it. I think the movie is fantastic. I had far more fun than I was expecting. And granted, this is coming from a person who is not a die-hard, live or die, alien or aliens or, I don't think anybody's that tied to any of the sequels after that. But still, one of these people that was just heavily dedicated to it. But I did like them okay, but I had my qualms. So this movie really surprised me. I thought it was made for a new and probably younger audience. And, everything about it just jumped out and was exciting and fun to me. And if you look at my Friends with Benefits score, it's an 81%. And then you look at the audience score and it's an 82. This started out quite low in the very beginning and has been slowly creeping up after that. Now, if you don't know, Alien Romulus is basically fitting in between the first Alien and the second Alien film, Aliens, and it's in between those two. And those movies are quite loved. If you take a look at Alien on Criticless, it's an 89%, so it's a most excellent, and that's by 68 people. And then it's at a 90% for Aliens, which is, I think, deserving of a higher score. And if people are honest, then I think most people will admit that Aliens is a better film. Alien, in all honesty, has not aged super well. And the people that won't admit that are in an extreme state of denial. And I mean, this is a pretty, I don't know. I hold to that sentiment pretty hard. And with even people who have argued it after they analyze it, watch it some more, listen to your complaints, they can't really deny the complaints. Now, they can go ahead and give it 100% for nostalgia. That's fine. You can love it for those reasons. But objectively, Aliens is a better film and holds up substantially better than Alien does. Which it was made in 1979 and the other was made in 86. So, you get a tech boost in between those times where, film was just doing a bit better and had a little bit more time to evolve since, 79. And they did excellent things with practical effects. This is no crap on Alien. But anyways, not to harp on these two movies, but I just kind of wanted to set the stage for talking about Romulus. Because the interesting thing with Romulus is just the reception to it in general. If you were to take a look at a whole lot of content creators that are, around the YouTube sphere specifically, there's kind of two camps. And, you've got these, millennial aged younger folks, I say younger now for millennials, but I'm saying including outside of them, I guess, as well. But just these, people aged in that bracket as far as the YouTubers and critics and, armchair experts, if you will. These people tend to be on the higher end for this movie. But if you look at these scores, and if you talk to the people and you look at the opinions, you read the reviews, it seems like most of the people just heavily coming after Alien Romulus are, one, quite often in the boomer bracket or boomer identifying, right? And there's somebody who grew up with this film from, this heavy, deep nostalgia base of being extremely tethered to this franchise, right? So the question is it because of an age difference? Is it because of the fact that people aren't willing to let go of their nostalgia? Like, what is it that's making people just feverishly despise this movie and get these boguses? Now, granted, I say that, I don't know that we have a single heinous, because if these people that even give it the boguses that are quite low are honest, they can't, there's no way you could call this movie heinous in pretty much any reality. It's a very well-made film, and I mean, some people really come after it and skewer it, but when you look at their complaints, a lot of the complaints are things like, the cast was too young, I don't like the age of the people, and that's just a weird accusation, even just for horror films in general. It's just a lot of the attacks coming onto this movie seem to be more connected to people's nostalgia over what this franchise was back when it was Alien and Aliens, these early two films, versus like what it could be and if you're getting a new audience, right? Because it's like if you want to bring new people to this, then you really need to try and do new things. You need to try and just reinvent, make it more exciting, appeal to a younger audience. And you can't just remake something like Alien. Like I said, it doesn't hold up. The way that people's brains work is different. We have different expectations for things. And now, granted, maybe that's a good or a bad thing. That's an entirely different debate. But either way, it's a fact, right? That's just what's going on. So the question is it that the boomers and the boomerly minded folks are so attached to their nostalgia that they can't, for one, admit that Alien has not really technically aged that well? Now, granted, the practical effects look phenomenal, but I just mean structurally as a whole, this movie just, it still has problems. And I'm not talking about Aliens and saying that I think the movie freaking rocks, but like still it's with that nostalgia, and like, can you let it go and can you accept and like look at something new and a new approach with being these younger actors, with being this combination of all that has come before it. And the thing is many people are seeing this, like I said, younger people and then millennials and stuff are seeing this as more of just like a respectful homage and like a jumpstart to a new version of the Alien series versus this disrespectful slop, that is getting slammed with. And I just don't think that that's the case. So it's like the question is, at what point can you let your nostalgia go and allow for something new? And I mean, this is going to be the case for me down the road. I mean, we could talk about plenty of different franchises and things that I like, but it's like, what is it that's holding you back from enjoying something like this? And do you come into it with preconceived notions? And do you come into it where you are just kind of ready to dislike it for certain reasons because it gets in the way of your love of what came before it and originally, where it's like, you end up with situations, it's kind of an ongoing joke about Pacific Rim within Criticless, but I love it and adore it. So the question is, it's like, could they do another Pacific Rim 10, 15 years down the road? And would I be okay with how they did it? Or would I also be overtaken from nostalgia and just my age and being overly connected and like invested in this franchise to allow something new to emerge? So this movie really has been this microcosm that's just really interested me, and I wanted to bring it up and kind of pose the question to everybody else. Like, are you seeing this? Are you seeing where, there are people just turning on this film and making accusations of that just don't line up and don't feel really true to what was actually made and what you witnessed on film? Because I'm seeing a lot of that, and the accusations kind of being thrown at Romulus just seem off base and a little wild, and it all just feels like it's connected to that nostalgia and like the age of the people that are coming after it. Now, I'm not saying that some younger folks aren't, but like I said, boomerly minded, there are those folks as well, and it just comes across as very curmudgeon-y, the people that dislike it, because I don't think you can't really deny that this is not a well-made, well-crafted film as far as how it looks and feels and fitting well into this world, especially if you've seen Prometheus and Alien Covenant. Those were not great movies. Most people don't like them, and if anything, they were an absolute bore. Romulus is not a bore. It's exciting. A lot happens. And in the beginning, they kind of pay more homage to Alien and take their time in getting where they're going and then pick up the pace and get to the action at the end. So it's like there's a lot happening here. And I'm just really curious, like, what is happening with these reviews? Why is it so divisive? And is it the nostalgia? Is it the age? And then also, I guess the other thing that I wanted to bring up very quickly was The Crow. And now I have not seen The Crow. We have one review of The Crow. It is absolutely scathing. Now, it's from Vexel Electronica. I don't want to spoil anything for anybody. I will say it's a low score. I don't want to say what or read anything from her review, being that the movie is just now coming out, but it was pretty scathing. It's a hardcore review. She's known for doing that and really roasting things, and it does seem like she's a fan of the originals. Now, the interesting thing is, are we going to end up in the same scenario with The Crow for this movie, or with The Crow that we did with Alien Romulus? Because the thing is with The Crow is that it does have a lot of nostalgia connected to 90s kids, because the original Crow came out in that 80s, 90s time period, and a lot of people really love and adore it. And the question is this generation, are the millennials and Gen X, are they going to be able to step away from this nostalgia and see this as something else, something different? Or are they just going to see it as a cheap remake? It's like when the trailer came out, people turned on it instantly. But I'm not really the type of person to do that. It has to look quite bad for me to really come after something in that kind of way. And I just don't really know enough about this version of The Crow. And I'm also not hyper nostalgic about the original. So the question is, like, when it is these remakes or when it is something operating within an existing franchise, at what point are you allowed to let something exist separately from that? And obviously, some of this needs to be blamed on Hollywood for not coming up with new ideas and creating new things or constantly working in existing franchises. I get it. That's a whole other conversation entirely. But can we separate ourselves? Can we pull ourselves away from the nostalgia, from the time that we grew up in, from our age, whatever the case is? Can we separate from those things and look at it through an objective lens and look at it fairly and judge it in that realm? So, I mean, and the question is, like, is this movie good or bad? I don't know. It could be terrible. I'm going to see it in literally like 30 minutes. So we'll see. But I just wanted to poll the audience, want to hear people's thoughts on nostalgia and franchises and all of that. And I just wanted to talk about it for a minute, even though this is a little meandering. It's not my typical form. But I just wanted to kind of wade through some of the nostalgia stuff and wade through franchise issues and just kind of find an answer here as to what the deal is and when we can allow for things to grow and become their own thing. And it's like, is Gen Z going to come in and watch The Crow and think that it's the coolest thing ever? Maybe. I have no idea. Granted, they're not calling for big box office numbers. This is coming out the same week as Blink Twice, which is an interesting thing because it's written and directed by Zoe Kravitz, but it does sound hyper political, and I think that's going to be the case with it. So that's going to turn off quite a few people, but also a lot of other types of folks are going to like it. And due to the fact that that movie is tracking to do like 7 or 8 million, and then this movie is tracking to do somewhere between 6 and 9, there's just no real telling where either of these two movies are going to land, but they're not going to do massive numbers. But I think that the people that see them will have very, very strong opinions about both of these movies, and I'm interested to see what comes out of this weekend. They have some room to breathe. The main thing that they're going up against is Alien Romulus. So anyways, guys, let me know your thoughts on franchises and, Alien Romulus, and if you think it's just nothing but a bunch of angry boomers who hate it, and, is that also going to be the case with The Crow, except for just a bunch of freaking angry millennials that can't let go of a childhood favorite of theirs. So we will see. I will have my review up tomorrow for The Crow with our Criticless cast Unhinged crew. So Matt and Chris will be joining me. We'll be reviewing it, and I think it'll be a fun chat because we're all on a different range of where we sit with The Crow. Matt has watched it recently. I have not seen it since high school, and Chris has never seen it. So we are all on a different kind of range. Now, granted, none of us are part of this group that are so diehard loving it that we're going to simp for it because of the original. So I am curious to see what we think about it. As long as it's not as bad as Borderlands, I think we're probably in good shape, but we'll see. I'm just, I am, I don't even want to say cautiously optimistic. I have no idea how this movie's going to be, but we'll see. And I'll be back tomorrow with my review with the crew. So make sure to check that out on Criticless Cast. And as always, like, subscribe, follow, let us know your thoughts in the comments down below, and make sure to visit criticless.com and leave your review for all these things we're talking about. And if you see The Crow this weekend, make sure to review that as well. I want to know what everybody thinks about the next Bill Skarsgård film, because he released one of my favorite films of the entire year with Boy Kills World. So I'm all for another banger from him, and also for having a very divisive opinion, because, if there's anything about me and where I sit with film, my goal is to make it so that if you agree with me on a film, it makes you just instantly question your life choices. So, maybe I'll love this and it'll make all of you wonder what is wrong with me, or you for agreeing with me. So anyways, this has been fun, and I will be back again soon, and hopefully we will actually have some news to talk about next week. Later.